This round's AFL Record print edition is available on game day at newsagents, Coles and Coles Express. Also online via afl.com.au, the AFL app, sen.com.au and the SEN app. Proudly part of our Top Sport, official wagering partner of the AFL Record. Gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-858-858.
Robot Building Supplies, supplying quality building products at competitive prices for over 60 years. Are your team's building construction qualifications up to date? Train with the best. Master Builders Victoria.
Drive with Bob Murphy and Andy Marr.
Great to have you with us this Thursday afternoon. Simone Biles, one of the huge talking points, one of the huge kind of promo points coming into Tokyo 2020, and now she's become one of the big talking points because of the challenges she's going through in the last couple of days. I wanted to speak to somebody about, you and Julio were speaking about the twisties yesterday. Yeah. And I must admit, I'd never heard of these things before.
Well, either had I until yesterday, and I was reading an article about it, and then we were having a chat about it, and I was trying to explain it and almost got the twisties myself in trying to do so. So I thought we probably should get someone in who could speak to it in a little bit more detail.
So some people are suggesting and suspecting that this might be what's at the core of Simone Biles' challenges at the moment. Lauren Mitchell, world champion gold medalist, four-time gold medalist at Commonwealth Games, knows the caper extremely well and has been good enough to join us to have a chat about it. Lauren, thanks for joining us on the show. We appreciate your time.
Hi, thanks for having me.
No doubt you know about this phenomenon, the twisties. What can you tell us about them?
Well, firstly, I've never heard of it referred to like that, so I should actually start using that myself.
What do you call it? What do you call it?
I don't even know. It's just something that happens to gymnasts that you kind of basically, you start a skill and you think you're going to end up facing one way, and in your head you're going one way, and then you land and you are completely the wrong direction and you have no idea how you even ended up there. And I just remember it happening to me when I was younger, and I would do like a front flip basically, and then halfway through your body's like, nope, I just want to turn, and then I would end up facing like halfway basically, like doing a 180 turn. And we just basically called it like just a mental block, really. But the twisties is a good word for it.
Yes.
And how long did the recovery, if that's the right word, how long did it take you, Lauren, to sort of get over it?
Kind of months. You kind of just, and it's, so when you're referring to Simone Biles, right, she's doing like 2.5 twists. So I don't know if you guys saw her vault the other day. She ends up landing it. She does a huge jump forward, and you just see this shock on her face. And she was aiming to do a 2.5 twist, and she ends up doing a 1.5 twist. And it's basically, it looks like she had no idea how she even ended up where she ended up and how she ended up doing a 1.5, not a 2.5. And because she's one of those gymnasts that is absolutely phenomenal, she's doing so many twists and turns that like all the other gymnasts can't even comprehend. So it's kind of, not that it was only a matter of time, but you can kind of see and completely understand how her brain's kind of just got a little bit muddled up, just kind of getting confused in the air.
Sorry, Lauren, would it be a fair assumption because of Simone's degree of difficulty? So, we'll call it the twisties. If she had a case of it, it would be worse than everyone else?
Probably. Like I said, she's doing these amazing skills that have multiple twists in there that some people wouldn't even attempt. Like the vault that she's doing is called the Aminar, and only a handful of girls attempt it for a reason. And then another vault that she's doing is called the Chen, and that same thing. A different handful of girls attempt that for a reason, and then she's doing her own vault with no twists in it, which is completely different. But the fact that she's doing those 3 amazing vaults, let alone just an average person just doing an average vault, means that she would probably get it a lot worse than everybody else.
Yeah, right. And so
you just get completely confused.
So we're talking about Simone Biles here, and so she's withdrawn from the Olympics. You've talked about your experience. How common amongst gymnasts do you think it would be? I know it's difficult to put a number, but sort of a general sort of, number or percentage.
Well, I was chatting to the girls that I used to train with just the other day because, we've got this group chat going on and we're all watching it because we love it. We still love the sport. And all of us, and there's a group of 5 or 6 of us, all of us have had it at least once in our career. So, and it's not necessarily just the twisting thing. It could be just like a mental block on bars, like you do a skill and you feel like you just can't put your feet on the bars, or like you can't jump backwards on beam. Like it is quite common for gymnasts to go through that because they're chucking scary skills.
Oh,
and you have to be completely aware of your body and completely trust your body to actually land the skill successfully. So, and I think, in my humble opinion, that's probably what Simone's kind of going through. She's not trusting her body to be able to do those skills successfully without hurting herself.
So how do you get over it, Lauren?
So we used to work with a psychologist. So there's a psychologist there. I'm assuming she's going to have like amazing support to kind of get over this. And then you gradually, slowly start building your skills back, and you start like right down the bottom and kind of get them all back again. Once your brain can kind of comprehend doing the skills again.
So this is one of those things. This is where the brain becomes, so critical to human endeavour. There are other sports. We're talking about Lauren Mitchell, of course, former world champion gymnast for Australia. A sport I love, golf. Chipping yips have got into the heads of players. And they've not been able to overcome it, and they can't go and play in front of people anymore. It actually ruins their career. So you must know
it's similar to that, yeah. Or do you remember when Steve Hooker couldn't pole vault because he was scared of the runoff or whatever? It's very similar to something like that. So some people never overcome it, but hopefully she does.
Is it possible? You've explained what it is, right? You've explained what happens to you, the technical side of what happens to you when you're in the middle of one of these jumps. Can you tell us when you're in the middle of the thing going at the sort of speed you're at and you're putting yourself in these incredibly dangerous positions, what does it feel like when you get hit by it halfway through a vault or a jump or a tumble? What does that actually feel like?
It's quite scary. So usually you know exactly where you are in the air, and you know exactly where the floor is and where you're going to land. And when you get it, you just lose basically all comprehension of where the floor is, and you just kind of have to go blank, and you have to let your body take control, because your body 95% of the time knows what it's doing. So you just have to kind of, the worst thing to do is, I guess, go loose and just kind of flail around basically, because then you like really end up injuring yourself. The best thing to do is stay tight and then kind of hope that the floor meets you in the correct spot. But Simone's chucking these huge skills that her risk of injuring herself doing those huge skills is a lot more compared to, when I got it when I was younger and I was just doing basic level skills. So it's kind of,
It's extraordinary. It really is.
So, Lauren, what you're telling me is that in the 2000 Sydney Olympics, when the vault was 2 inches too low and 18 competitors completely went flipping in all directions, that would have been quite devastating for the athletes. Is that what you're telling me?
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, well, because you get used to everything being exactly the same, right?
I would imagine so.
There's obviously, a different feeling for different apparatuses and different equipment brands and things like that, but everything's very much standardized. So when something's slightly off, you generally notice it. And I'm surprised that they didn't pick it up sooner, because most of the people would be like, something's not right. And then you would kind of think inward a little bit and be like, oh, okay, well, I'm not jumping hard enough, or I'm not doing this or whatever. But sometimes you have to think externally and be like, well, actually, that's not my fault or my problem. It's something else external, which is making me not know where I am in the air.
Oh, Lauren, thanks for explaining it to us. It's one of those anomalies that affects the sport that you were so good at, but it's something that I think crosses all sorts of sports divides, and it is a fascinating, fascinating part of the things we love watching. Yeah. And it's just been amazing watching the Olympics, and amazing that they actually could, get it together this year as well. It sure is, yeah. Hey, congrats on the gong you got to early this year for your services to gymnastics here in Australia. The name, your name and the sport are synonymous in Australia. And thanks for coming on today and having a chat to us about this one. It's a compelling story. We appreciate your time.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks for having me. Hopefully I explained it a little bit.
No, you did.
No,
you really did.
Okay,
it's
good.
actually fascinating. Lauren Mitchell joining us, world champion, 4-time Commonwealth Games gold medalist. That is quite something.
It's not that hard to imagine, is it?
No, because the brain is probably the most important muscle when it comes to any sporting achievement. That's why blokes struggle to kick set shots from 20 metres out directly in front.
Yeah.
It's nothing to do with their inability to kick the footy. They've done that. They've kicked 20-metre goals. Once you get to AFL level, even as a 20-year-old, you have done that 10,000 times. If you go to the park with your mate tomorrow, you could kick 100 before you miss one. What are the if you kick? This is not necessarily a cheery old story to talk about, but the other great or the other sports people who have been forced out of their sport because of a version of this. Yips, twisties, whatever you want to call it.
Or what is it to each sport?
How does it manifest itself in a particular sport? Goal kicking in footy, this in gymnastics, chipping or putting.
Is it chipping or putting would be more prevalent, do you think?
No question.
Which one?
I would think chipping. I think the chipping yips.
Right. Okay.
I would.
Right.
I think it's probably the less talked about.
Yep.
But I reckon it's the one that probably ruins careers more than the putting. You can find a number of ways through that.
Yeah.
And but the chipping, once you lose that capacity, there's no coming back from
As soon
that.
as you started talking about it, I started to get a bit.
Oh, mate, it is.
I know that feeling, and I am an absolute plonker on the course.
What is it? How does it manifest in a sport? Give us the version. And if you can think about people who have been, challenged to serious degrees, tell us who they are. It is the Tradies Hour, thanks to Ace Gutters, Australian Made Built to Last. We're here for Robot Building Supplies. Robots got an end. Deliver. robotbuildingsupplies.com.au. And Master Builders of Victoria, get free legal support. Become a Master Builders Victoria member. Join today for just $1.40 a day.